Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Muskan from Datamatics. Thank you for joining our session on revolutionizing logistics, automating manual processes with GenAI-powered intelligent automation. Today, we are joined by SAIA, a leading LTL provider. Before we officially get started, I have a few housekeeping announcements to be covered. If you've got questions or thoughts, please feel free to put them in the dedicated questions tab where we shall address them by the end of the session. Just a heads up, we've muted all lines per the default settings of the webinar. To keep things interactive, we'll be launching 2 poll questions for you to share your insights, and stay tuned for a feedback survey post this session. We'll be sending the recording and presentation deck by tomorrow. Thanks for being a part of this. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Marla Lapitalo, who will be the moderator for this discussion. Marla is a seasoned IT professional with over 25 years of experience in technology and software. She has worked with some of the largest global companies in orchestrating and supporting technology innovation and automation. Thank you for joining us today, Marla. The floor is now yours to continue the conversation.
Thank you very much, Muskan. Welcome, everyone, to today's panel. We are looking forward to interesting and exciting information, and certainly look forward to your participation as well. We're going to be talking to Rohit Lal. He is the CIO of SAIA, a 100-year-old leading LTL provider. He has been responsible for the implementation of intelligent automation within their logistics operations. We're going to be talking about the successes that he's had, exploring some of the challenges, and then looking at potential new areas of automation. We'll be examining a lot of the operational and functional parts of implementing intelligent automation. I know a lot of the people on this webinar are here for that, around use cases, user adoption, process re-engineering, success indicators, and those types of things. So we'll be injecting generative AI into the conversation around logistics, and we're going to be talking about some costing and some data security, impact long-term on logistics. And so that's going to be a very exciting topic that we'll be talking about. So thank you for spending your morning, evening, and afternoon with us globally, wherever that you are. And we look forward to intelligent automation in the realm of logistics. So in kicking things off, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our esteemed panel. I will start with Rohit Lal. He is, again, the CIO of SAIA. He has a track record and experience not only in digital transformation, but also in supply chain and cybersecurity extensively. He is also an independent member and sits on the audit committee of Blooming Brands, a very large casual restaurant chain with over 1,400 global locations. In his transformation journey, Rohit has transformed not only systems, but culture around driving revenue and achieving productivity gains through the use of automation. And just a pat on the back, Rohit is the 2023 Georgia CIO of the Year or the award winner. So thank you, Rohit, for joining us today, and we look forward to your comments. Next up, we have Shashi Bhargava. He heads the Intelligent Automation product team for Datamatics. His team is responsible for investigating and implementing innovative technologies in the areas of intelligent automation. He has over 33 years of experience in multiple technologies, various domain expertise, and has been instrumental in the implementation and growth of intelligent automation COEs in large organizations globally. Next is Rajesh Agarwal. He is the SVP and the head of robotic process automation for Datamatics. He has over 2 decades of experience, extensive knowledge in process re-engineering and innovative technologies, and we're really going to be talking to him about those operational components of using intelligent automation for process engineering. His team of over 200 people has expertise in all of these areas: solution development, transition management, as well as business process re-engineering. So we thank you, Rohit, Shashi, and Rajesh, for joining us today. And before each of them briefly talks about their perspective on intelligent automation and generative AI, Muskan, I think we have a poll question. Thank you so much for participating in those poll questions, and the results, I'm sure, will be mentioned, particularly as we walk through the panelist questions. I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to Rohit Lal now, and he's going to walk through a little bit about SAIA.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Could you, next slide, please, Muskan? So I thought it might be useful. Not everybody's heard the term LTL, and I just want to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, and it'll give you a sort of sense of the whole thing around the digital transformation and the journey we've been on. So again, we celebrated 100 years in February. Recently, just as I said, turned 100, started off in Louisiana, and then moved to the Atlanta area where we are. But as you can see from the list of customers, it's across the board. It's B2B customers across multiple industries, everything from electronics to oil and gas to Starbucks, Lowe's. I mean, just as I said, across the board, a lot of customers. Nationwide, we are across the US. We've been on a rapid growth path. I think we hit 200 terminals last week, which has been a rapid growth, but also going into Canada and Mexico. Next slide, please. So this is sort of an interesting one. So for the past 7 years, we've really been on a journey of both driving revenues. It's just been a business transformation journey, which has been fueled by technology. And as we talked about some of the reason why this is becoming a big deal, I'll talk about it. But if you think of it in 2017, that 93.3, that's our operating cost, if you will. So the balance really would be our margin, right? So we were at a 7% margin. Operating income in 2017, we now have hit 84%, which is more than doubled our margin over the past couple of years and double the revenue. So if you think of it, we kind of quadrupled the income coming back in. And a lot of it has been fueled by this combination of the business transformation changes, but then again, technology being the underlying pillar of driving all those things. So really, really interesting story from a EPS perspective. This year will be a banner year from a CapEx perspective. We're putting $1 billion into capital this year, both between the additional new terminals, equipment, and technology. So this is, I just wanted to sort of talk about the complexity of this kind of an environment. The numbers on the right-hand side, I wanted to talk a lot about. You can sort of see the million miles and the 45 million pounds of freight moved a day. But tell you why this it's a complex environment. We work very much like the airlines. So in the LTL business, because you are combining loads from multiple customers, you seldom have a truck that will go across the country as a full truck. So it becomes very much like the airline, that you're sort of combining loads from multiple customers. And just like the airline, we have regular schedules that go between different terminals. So if I'm going from an origin to my destination in this example, I could go either to terminal B, unload some of it might be going to the city, and some of it might be going on to the destination. Or I could very well say, you know what, my flights are full. In my airline example, my trucks are full. But I could go from origin to terminal A to terminal C, and then finally land up to my destination. So the way my network works, that million miles a day that I'm driving, is very much based on capacity, complexity. There's a lot of network planning. Winter months, all of a sudden, you might find out there's the weather event. My roads are closed. I can't go in any particular way. So whether it's that one, whether it's a fleet issue, this constant operations research, operation planning, optimization of my supply chain network that I need to look at. At the same time, even from a city pickup perspective, right, from my terminal B in my example over here, I'm still bound by capacity, which is both could be volume or could be weight. So it's a very, very complex environment when you have that much going on a daily basis. And because of that, there is no standard ERP out there. and sort of gets into the legacy. I mean, there's no ERP. You've got ERP for a lot of distributors, right? To how will I distribute my product? But nobody really says, for the small trucking industry, there's no standard off the shelf which just says, how will I price for it? How will I look at my capacity? What will I charge for it? So a lot of it, you'll end up having custom applications, which becomes part of when you sort of transformation as well as intelligent automation, where we're going from here. Next slide. So what did we do to actually to get to that, right? Doubling revenues, quadrupling our margins, quadrupling our net promoter scores, the market cap, and all of being the organic. This has not been acquisition. This has been organic, and it's a people-centric business. 85% of our workforce is blue collar, between drivers and dock workers. We got around 14,000 employees, but a lot of it is really culture transformation. So let's just talk a little bit about that, and then we can move on. So it is everything, right? People, process, technology. We talk about it, but really every one of these pieces makes a difference. Next slide. So again, I'm going to go very quickly through because I know we've got a lot of questions coming in, but certain core values, a lot of training, getting the right culture in place so that people are incented to do what they need to do. Next slide, please. A very, very high focus on customer, right? Because it is, at the end of the day, it's a commodity business. We think we've got the best service around, but at the end of the day, really anybody can deliver product. It might not land exactly in time or something else, or might take a little longer, but that focus on the customers is very, very important. So everything starts off from what very customer-centric approach, because we do not want to be it's not a low-cost play for us. It's a customer value play. And if you think of it, everybody sort of says, if you're ordering anything from Amazon or whatever, you want to get it in one piece and on time as delivered, right? So our customers are no different. So there's a big, big focus on the customer, getting the customer onboarding and the customer dashboards for customer satisfaction perspective, which drives a lot of what we do. We can move to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So where do we go with technology? So a lot of it sort of has been, as I said, when we started off this whole modernization journey, our backend systems, our RPG code, it's IBM we kind of still call it AS400, but basically it's RPG code. And over the past couple of years, we've been taking big chunks of that and moving it across into Azure. So everything new, we're not just refactoring, we're actually rewriting applications to pull in all the latest technology. It's all now Azure Kubernetes. But in the process of that, we still have a lot of legacy that we have to deal with, because it's not so easy to get a package that will make it happen. So forklift tablets and intelligent automation, and this is where intelligent automation does come in, right? Because when you've got legacy and you've got processes that you have to you stay with, then we are using RPA in a lot of the cases to sort of drive up the productivity and efficiency from the system. But you have that hybrid environment of, while we're modernizing some stuff, we still have a lot of inefficiencies, processes that we have. Handhelds, we rewrote the handhelds, move into electronic proof of delivery, electronic delivery receipts. And so digitizing as much as we can, but what we cannot, again, that's where sort of the automation comes in. And another thing we're doing, for instance, is we would love to have everybody sending electronic bills and having electronic invoices, but that the nature of it, it's a paper-based company. And from a customer perspective, that piece of paper, that bill of lading is really important with the signatures. So we scan that in, and then we have RPA and robotics kind of looking at that to sort of, again, helping drive the productivity, but different aspects of transformation we're doing across the board. So next slide. So that's sort of how we do it. Teamwork, hitting every part of it, getting the people, process, and technology, and then transformation as an underlying pinning about both driving the customer experience, inefficiencies, and as well as the revenue. And then at the end of the day, you take care of the customer will take care of you. Next slide, I think. That was it. So hopefully at least we get an idea of sort of who we are and how technology is woven right into it, and where we're sort of using RP and automation to drive productivity gains. Over to Marla.
Sure, Rohit. Thanks.
Yeah, so I think Shashi, if you wanted to give us your insights on this topic as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mala. Thank you, Rohit, for a wonderful introduction. So I'll just quickly go through the various challenges you have in a complex document processing. As Rohit mentioned, in the many industry logistics, you have a lot of paper moving around. So even if you go the classic way, which we've been doing, there's a lot of lack of training data to train the right classic AI/ML model. A lot of time in getting training, deployment, accuracy levels are pretty bad, not to the production level kind of thing. Unstructured document, as you get many in the logistic industry, extracting data from there is a big challenge. And the post-processing, after you extract the data, you need to correct the data, you need to learn from the data. That is something which keeps lacking about it. Yeah, next slide, Muskan. So these are the various kind of cases with the GenAI coming in about last 1 year, I would say. A lot of solutions, a lot of products have come based on the GenAI, and GenAI is also changing every second day. A lot of new models keep coming in. So if you look at it, the various cases, complex document processing, which is in the logistic industry, we see quite a lot. You can do using the GenAI. Unstructured documents can be processed. We can use a lot of public LLM available in the market, or we can do some zero shot thing, few shot learning as well on the different LLMs, and now the SLMs are also coming in, which can be used for training on your own data to get a much higher accuracy. You can do natural language based querying. But in the logistic industry, everybody is not absolutely IT savvy to write the queries. You can use natural language to do it, a lot of effort. Very low effort in training the data. You can go live in days rather than weeks using the GenAI kind of a thing, getting much more higher accuracy and intelligent user friendly. Okay, next slide, please. Now, if you look at it, there's an intelligent document processing. A lot of GenAI based things are coming in, even for defining, classifying the documents. Okay, so you have a co-pilot kind of a thing coming up in the industry in many solutions, in many products. You can classify the documents automatically. You can create the ontology, which we call it the document definition, the fields which you want to extract. You can do it directly. You can do a smart selection of the context specific fields which you need to have it. You can create rules automatically. Multilingual, which is one of the biggest challenge globally. If you look at it, having multilinguals, multiple languages document coming in and trying to understand and putting in a common language and using the public LLM. So there are a lot of solutions coming around. As we go along in the panel discussion, we'll be talking more on it. Okay, next slide, please. So these are like, generative AI in the bots also, as Rohit talked about it. Bots have to be used. They are legacy systems. They are not standard products available for each industry. So there's using generative AI, even creation of the bots, instead of going in the weeks, can come into days. You can do automatically process flow, not dependent on SMEs all the time. You can do much faster. Okay, smart selection, like in creating a bots, all the RPA product, if you look at it, they'll have thousands of components. You can select the right component, not depend on the expertise of the bot developer. Using natural language, there are domain-specific LLMs coming up in the market, which can be used, giving you much far better results. And eventually, this is where using GenAI, you can create bot much faster, you can deploy it much faster. And another use case is even maintaining those bots in the long run. So you can do that maintenance also using GenAI, something called reverse engineering. You can get the documentation, you can understand what code has been written. So all that can be done using the GenAI. Yeah, next slide, please, Muskan. Yeah, over to you, Rajesh. Yeah.
Sure. So thanks, Sashi, and thanks, Rohit. So I think I'll also take few minutes of my experiences in implementing this intelligent automation and generative AI for some of my logistic customers, including SAIA. And I think this is already covered by Sashi, that what type of, um, help comes from the intelligent automation. Of course, the errors get reduced and the efficiency is better, operational costs are reduced. The best part is the real-time visibility, because now more and more customers are looking for the visibility, because that's what even Rohit talked about, that customers are looking for the much ahead of time the delivery status, or they don't want to ask or call question that where is this goods are being shipped, where are they now. So that enables the real-time visibility. And of course, the compliance and the reporting is also much better with intelligent automation. Next one, Muskan. So what I wanted to share with is this, especially this experience of mine, that how we have made it successful. Like, we are known as client success partners, and we have made it successful for some of our clients for intelligent automation initiative. So there are four factors which we saw from our experiences. So technology is definitely important. It is very, very enabling the overall transformation. But this is not sufficient enough. It's not a golden bullet that if you have good technology, automatically it will be successful. The investment in process maturity or process standardization or process improvement also is needed, and that pays much better dividend and only with technology that does not solve. So what we help our customers to look at the process, see if there is any re-engineering. As Marla introduced me, that we are very much known for process re-engineering. So we look at from that angle, and then bring in Gen AI and intelligent automation. So that has to be coupled with the technology. Then the change management, how are we taking it inside the organization, how it's being communicated, how people are behaving and accepting it, or embracing it. So how do you give the value creation message to the organization and the employees who are using it, so that their acceptance is much better. And what we also saw was that speed is also equally important. So if you do it very slow, it will not make a lot of difference. Either you will miss the bus or you will be far behind your competition. So what we entail our customers to, that we show of very good speed, and we plan it in a way that some low hanging fruits or quick hits are taken up very fast to see the benefits and take it to the next level, and then we take up some little more complex processes. So these are four factors which are important. I have got a full list of logistic processes, more than 100 processes we have done for multiple customers. Some of them are displayed here, but if people are interested, we can definitely share some more, listing of logistic processes which we have done with intelligent automation and now doing with generative AI. But I'll talk about some of them, keeping time in mind briefly. So next one, Muskan. So this is the very common thing which we are doing for many of our clients, that are using it, and they have been using intelligent automation to handle this unstructured document of bill of lading. It's a like different format, and lot of rules are there, which was automated by us, and now we are introducing generative AI to enable much higher accuracy and efficiency in that. So we are able to capture that data, validate it, and put it into the billing process much faster than it was earlier. Next. This is another important case which we are handling using generative AI for dynamic pricing for some of the customers. And we are trying to help them to see whether, instead of giving the static pricing to their customer, can they make it dynamic based on the consumer behavior, their customer behavior, or, how the volumes are coming up from that customer, what is the consistency of business, and can we make a better pricing for them at real time? And that allows them to get a better conversion rate because they are able to offer the dynamic pricing. Another thing which we are doing is the rate adjustment request. We have done for some clients that once the goods are ordered and shipped, but there are special requests are coming in, because of which the pricing has to be up because of some special request. Either they have to be delivered or some hazardous materials are handled. So that has been done automatically by these bots and the AI. So it can read the incoming request and update the pricing accordingly. Next. This is the important one, but we have a lot of others which we will not be able to talk now in this webinar. But yes, here what we are trying to tell our customers, that they can give the delivery time predictions very accurately using the generative AI based on the real-time weather forecasting, traffic, or other data which are available in the public domain. And then the customers are exactly getting the same timeline predicted while searching and while ordering. So they don't see any difference or any delay. So that's another use case which we have been working on. So back to you, Marla.
Yes, thank you very much, our panel, for all of your information. So, hey, we want to jump right into some questions. that have been created based upon what we're seeing out in the industry with our customers and logistics space in general. So Rohit, I'm going to start with you. As much as we would like to think that all of our projects go flawlessly, as everyone chuckles at that, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered when implementing intelligent automation at SAIA? How did you overcome those?
It took time. To your point, but it's not the technology. It never is the technology, right? That's why when I was talking about people, process, and technology, most of it is really the other two. And undocumented processes, lack of standardization in the processes. We thought when we went into this whole bill of lading piece, which was kind of going to be great, fine, we'll just scan it and we'll be done. But then you come across all these exceptions, which is, this code doesn't really mean this. And that's what this actually means. So there's a shortcut somebody took, and then you try and automate that. So I think process standardization, or the lack of, is a big one over there. The other thing that because we were sort of so focused on internally on the whole general modernization part of it, is the who would actually lead that effort. It's just the lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. How do you sort of put that in? So for us, we had more sense to do it as a managed service, to have the experts coming in and help people go through the process. Otherwise, I think it would have taken us a long learning curve to spend the time understanding processes, standardizing, and everything else. So I think lack of knowledge was probably one of them. And then like data is another piece. So I think those are the big challenges to do it. Somewhere down the line, you have nuances around security, who has access to it, what's going to happen. And then finally, I think also probably prioritization, because once people get used to it, it's like, oh, great, fine, there's another RPA project, but not everything has value, right? Like, what do you want to focus on, and what do you want to go on? And the last thing you want to do is have like 200 bots lying around, and then you don't know which was a bot and the change management that goes around it. So I think front end really was knowledge process, even to get it up and running, but then the whole governance structure is something that to be borne in mind about who's maintaining it, who's updating it, and what are you working on.
Yeah. People, they run the show, right? So that very, very important. So I'm just gonna get a quick Gen AI question over to Shashi. Costs of Gen AI, it sometimes seems like a black hole, black box. What are your thoughts around the costs of Gen AI?
Mala, excellent question. So on the Gen AI, Gen AI is a pretty new technology, maybe about a year now, a little more than a year. Okay, and as you can see, initially what we talk of tokens coming in, and most of the people, consumers using ChatGPT, and they're kind of finding it almost free or at a hardly $10-20. You can do that thing, but when you go into the enterprise where the data security is very important, okay, and you use the consumption, you process thousands of documents, millions of documents, and you process, the token can cost you a bomb. And that is where we see it. Yes, when we started over a period, at one time the compute was a problem. There was not enough compute available for run the models to use the Gen AI. Now that thing more or less is getting sorted out, but there are n number of models coming from the various providers. Okay, we talk of LLM, now we are talking of SLM. 2 days back, 5.3 was announced by Microsoft, okay, which is a small language model which can much more, like cost is at least 1/5, 1/6 of the higher end models. So there has to be a balance between what I call as the accuracy in the model, the cost, and the latency. These three things are very important in the Gen AI. And as the market matures, the way I see it, yes, a lot of new models will come, a lot of free models are also coming in. Okay, but there will be some cost involved. Cost is bound to go down. I see a Gen AI adoption happening. As for the poll also, we saw roughly 1/3 of the people have already adopted Gen AI. The kind of benefits which you're getting are tremendous, but the cost is a concern. But I do see that within the next 1 year, 1.5 years, the cost is going to come down. Microsoft, for example, launched a PC. It's called a Copilot PC with the kind of AI Copilot on the PC using NPU, which is called Neuron Processing Unit, where you can host the small SLMs and LLMs and do the processing rather than going on the cloud and paying a good bomb money on it. So things are changing. I think I'll see a big change in the next 6 months. Costs are going down and adoption of Gen AI will go up.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Rajesh, we are going to harness your expertise on process reengineering. How do you target a process? How do you narrow down what process is ripe for automation, and and how you source that and narrow that down?
Sure. So that's been a journey so far. We generally either meet our customers, conduct workshops, do the shop floor work, study, and we have some parameters based on which we rate that process for automation. Like, is it a repetitive process enough for, automating it? Also, whether it will have any kind of some decision making, so that we have to use some models, or is it a straightforward rule-based process? What are the exceptions possible? What may go wrong? What are the different applications involved? What type of technologies those applications are built on? And whether this process is running full day, or part of the day, or is it a, like, end of the month process or end of the week process? And then also we check whether, starting point, end point, are what are those documents involved, which are structured or unstructured, or is it like directly from an application to application? And based on that, we find out what are the different ratings we give based on that input format or the application type. And then we see how much is it, automatable, and how much benefits it can bring. And we do discuss with the customer that, okay, this process may not be very, giving that kind of ROI or that kind of benefit in the cost part, but it will be making the process much faster, though the customer experience will become better. So based on all these parameters, we do discuss with the customer that, okay, these are the right processes selected for automation, and then this is the way we can prioritize them.
Okay, great, thank you. Sounds like that you have a repeatable process of your own that allows you to find those successful automation opportunities. So,
Right.
So Muskan, I think we have another quick poll question. So how crucial is generative AI capability in an intelligent automation solution? So we'll leave it up for just a few more seconds. So it was interesting. We did an intelligent automation and generative AI webinar just a couple of months ago. And just in a couple of months, the difference between those people that have implemented generative AI a couple of months ago and now, we've seen substantial increase in the usage and adoption of generative AI just in a couple of months based upon our webinars and poll questions. So that was very interesting. And that too has changed just in a couple of months. Almost 60% highly important. So, and we'll have a couple questions about that as well coming up to Shashi. So thank you so much for everyone for participating. But I do want to get back to Rohit. I want to ask him a question about, now that you've seen success in intelligent automation and automation at SAIA, are you targeting additional processes that you're considering for automation? How are you targeting those?
There'll always be, as long as there's systems. So, backing up a little bit, I think of the value of automation, one of two use cases. One is, of course, it's your typical manual process where you've got a lot of people involved. So you're sort of saving on that part of it across systems, whether it's a system to system kind of a thing, or very often it's also going to be between multiple partners in that ecosystem, between customers and you, right? So like if you have to get into another customer's screen anyway and do stuff, and why not just have a bot do it versus something else? So, but yes, so to answer your question, there will be, especially in the finance area, there's a lot of opportunities we're looking at. So we will continue with it. It's a huge time saver. It sort of drives some of the standardization as well. And so I don't look at it upon as a sort of a headcount play. It really is more of just as much as an accuracy and a productivity play than anything else. So we
Yeah.
will continue on looking
That's
at it.
awesome. That's awesome. So one more real quick question for Shashi, especially because I know that data security and generative AI is something that everyone talks about. First question I get, I know when I talk to people about generative AI, what is your view and experience, especially as closely as you're working with Microsoft right now?
Mhm.
What is your view on that data security? Some of those questions you get.
Yeah, so it's an excellent question, Mala. I think people are worried about the data security, okay, because with OpenAI coming out with the chat GPT, people using that there in the initial days, whatever you are sharing with the chat GPT was being used to train the model, was being used in some way or other. But with our enterprise customers, as we deal with them, with the OpenAI coming on Azure cloud, with Microsoft providing all kinds of security which you really need to have it. Number one, your data is not being used to train any other thing. Your data is not stored in the cloud. Okay, you have all the responsible AI, ethical AI, all those things, guardrails are there in the cloud to take care of it. And many other providers are also doing the same thing. Okay, they're providing it, like I was talking yesterday only with the Microsoft security guys about the data on the Azure. So those things are pretty much taken care of. People have laid out their policies, their standards. So the data for the customer, the privacy of the data is extremely important. Until there is an explicit agreement or agreement signed with the customer, we don't use that data to train anything. With SLMs coming in, LLMs training happening, obviously that requires data training to be used by the customer's data only. So there's a specific agreement and very safeguards are there to take care of it. I would say now with the maturity coming in the last 6 7 months, I do see very less questions, but still there's a good checklist by CISO which we need to answer, and it's pretty much taken care of. So I don't see any threat right now or any worry about on the data privacy side of it, unless you land up using some free models which are available, and then you need to really read the terms and conditions in the fine prints.
Well, exactly. It's always good to make sure that you're partnering with, with the company and a vendor and a supplier, that you're partnering with companies that are on top of the data security piece, and that they're doing everything that they can, like Datamatics, to ensure that data security as well. So, perfect. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go back to Rohit because I think we've got time for one more question. You've talked a lot about intelligent automation and your journey in intelligent automation. Are you looking at generative AI in any of your applications? And what are your thoughts around that as a boots on the ground guy?
Are we looking at it? Yes. I mean, to me, this is almost like it's like the internet 1.0 or something else, right? It's you feel there's something exciting over there. It will change things, but we're still honestly trying to figure it out. So obviously, a couple of use cases would be things around where they're looking at contracts, something up documentation. The big learning to me really was I thought it could do a lot of the sort of backing up a little bit. Maybe machine learning has been there forever, right? So then they're putting Gen AI on top. So we're sort of now, in my mind, battling it. The big thing that Gen AI brought to the table was two big things. One was the natural language front end, but the back end still needs to be whatever else was doing it. It's just now you've got an easier way of interacting with the computer and having it. And then the second one would be the Gen AI piece. But we got a number of things that we are looking at, trying to combine that. But the other learning to me was really, it's a large language model. It's not a data model. And so that one, you're still depending on the back end for around whether it's regression or whatever else. That part doesn't go away. All of what is done, which is the exciting part, which I think we got so much of press, is it's made the front end a lot easier to sort of query. But I think that part we sort of gone through. The other part we sort of gone through is sort of saying every vendor out there is also caught on the AI bandwagon, where there's Workday and where there's Salesforce, and they've all got their own thing. So I think we're also trying to sort that out. Possibly, our feeling really is if the vendor's already got it or ServiceNow comes up with it, why not use that? Because that's already built into the product. Then you've got something like Copilot, which is that in-between piece. But the true Gen AI ones that we really want to look at are this purely custom applications, right? Where it's not something off the shelf. It's not part of a package, but that's going to be the value add. So I think we've at least got to that point of how we sort of trying to triage what tools we use, because there's so many tools out there now in that space. And then now we're sort of an innovation council trying to sort of help prioritization. So we're still starting off the journey, but it's going to be exciting. I'd like to say we were much further ahead, but we're not. We're just, at least we've got to the point where we know what tools to use and what use cases, and then we get to the next stage.
So I'll just add on
May I
to what
add
Rohit
something?
has said.
Yeah,
So Rajat, just let
yeah,
me.
well said.
I'll
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
add on to that, Rohit, what you rightly said. Everybody's coming out with his own Copilot, ServiceNow, and other things, and just talking to the Microsoft guys as well. So there could be custom Copilot which is required for interfaces within your any organization, because HR you're having multiple systems. It's never one system in an organization. So you can create custom Copilot doing hands-off between the different Copilots and giving a very seamless user interface to the users in the natural language. That's the way I think the market is moving towards. And I think probably you are saying exactly the same thing. Sorry,
Yeah.
Rajesh, back to you.
No, no issue. So I was just trying to add here that some of our experiences, like we are working with SAIA and other customers, and also some supply chain teams of manufacturing customers. So we have seen some use cases which are very prominent and taking up very fast. Like one of them is for demand forecasting. So where we are using the generative AI to do the demand forecasting, planning the supply chain in a way which is much better, and also like the impact of natural calamities in the certain areas of supply and all. And the second one which we saw is the computer vision, how the goods are stored in a truck, whether they are properly stored so that there is no damage or pilferage or any issue with the thing. So once the picture is taken, automatically a message comes that it is stored properly and there will be any risk or not. So risk mitigation, all those things, risk generative AI is being discussed and used. As Rohit said, it's still being in the initial stage, but yes, a lot of right use cases are being picked up and they are moving fast. That much I can add here.
So absolutely, Rajesh, on the vision piece which you talked about is using GenAI. There are some pilots being done,
Right.
okay, even in the supply chain itself. Okay, and I know the SAIA has got a very low claim ratio, I think 0.06% or something. But yes, there are like whole planning, looking at the vision, making correction in the warehouses or in the trucks everywhere. There are a lot of use cases in the GenAI coming up. Very interesting use cases, very interesting future which I foresee.
Great.
Back to you,
And
Mark.
I think the other part about also in the automation piece is going to be sort of the system to system automation, right? That's the more or the value add, which is let the decision not only get made, but then automatically trigger the next workflow
Yep.
and continue, just take some of that
Yeah,
error out
and
of the
that's
loop.
and that's where I think the new thing using GenAI is the agents coming up,
Yeah.
Rohit, where the intent of the question is learned, and based on the intent, the actions are done automatically. That's the next level of GenAI in I would say the next generation of RPA, which is coming up and which you will see in the next 6 months to 9 months taking the shape. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So very exciting times ahead. Very fast moving. And I know us at Datamatics have enjoyed a great partnership with SAIA. Rohit, we look forward to many more automations and innovative technologies working between Datamatics and SAIA. So Muskan, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you for any questions that we might have from our webinar viewers.
Yes, thank you so much, Marla. So the first question that we have is, what is the scale of end user adoption in GenAI in intelligent automation?
Okay. I'll take that thing, Muskan. Okay, as you rightly saw, even in the poll, that GenAI is being used, roughly about 60% doing a project on GenAI. So I'll put it very simply, the last year, 2023, we have seen most of the people doing a pilot kind of thing on using GenAI in the intelligent automation. All the various product providers in the space of AI, they've started building up, coming onto the releases using the GenAI. And I see the year 2024, where we have seen a big adoption, people going on the live cases in production. And I see adoption going up as we go along. Okay, and I was very much agree with the poll which came out that roughly 60% have gone in, maybe 30, 40%, 30, 35% are considering it. Okay. But at the end of the 2024, I'm pretty sure that 70 to 80% of people would have adopted the Gen AI based intelligent automation in at least one or two or maybe more processes as we go along. Because the impact, the results, ROI on the Gen AI is phenomenal. The kind of benefits which you're getting is phenomenal in terms of accuracy, in terms of a lot of new use cases which you've not even thought about it. You can implement using the Gen AI and showing the returns to the business.
Thanks, Shashi. The next question we have is, where do you think GenAI is moving and how will it affect the logistics industry?
Okay.
Yeah, I can start here, Sashi, then you may want
Yep.
to add. So my experience, what we saw was some of the use cases where we were working with intelligent automation did need to, do some kind of forecasting or pattern recognition or analysis. And that time the generative AI was not that strong. And those are the areas where we can immediately top up those intelligent automation use cases with generative AI, like the way we discuss in this webinar. And there we are not creating a new use case or not creating a new area where we can use generative AI. We are having the use case already with us, and there were missing links which were still going for the manual intervention, and we are trying to minimize those manual intervention. To give an example, which we have been discussing, is that what I also include the use case where it is enabling the proper, the time delivery time prediction. So earlier that delivery time prediction was not that accurate, and there were some missing links where user had to intervene and give some kind of inputs. Now the generative AI can help to collect the data from various sources, runtime, including the public domain data, and then give a proper demand forecasting for the delivery time prediction. So those are the areas where it's starting, but yes, there are new use cases coming up.
Yeah, so just to add on to what Rajesh is saying, if you look at it, yes, text has been there. I would say reading the document, extracting text from the document. But with the new things now, like video analytics, audio analytics coming in using the Gen AI with the new model, multimodal models coming out in the market, okay, that is becoming very keen. As Rajesh mentioned about the boxes being loaded on the trucks, let's say, or the warehouses, you want to do it, instead of going and checking out physically and realizing post the damage has been done, you can use video analytics to figure it out, a lot more things out there. Same way in the audio analytics is coming in, which I see using the Gen AI, instead of like putting the things with the paper and the handwritten things, lot of documents, probably we can communicate using the audio as well. So yes, existing use cases where the gaps were there, I completely agree with you, Rajesh. They can be filled using the Gen AI, the new technology which is coming in. But I do foresee a lot more new use cases coming up. It will change the way the business is working. And I completely agree with Rohit that change management needs to be done when you adopt this technology. Technology is available, but just rolling it out doesn't make people and processes also have to go align with it. Yes, back to you, Marla.
Thanks, Shashi. The third question is, could you share an example of how a company has benefited from implementing GenAI within logistics?
I can take it up, Rohit, if you want to have some experience, but I can take it up. So in one of
What like
the large logistic customers where they were doing some kind of, batch quote creation or the quotation for the existing client. So there, the conversion ratio was much less when they were not using generative AI. And with the help of the generative AI, they were able to, give the quote very fast, plus a very specific code to every customer, not a standard code, and which allowed them to better their conversion rate and get more business. Plus, also it was enabling better revenue for them because they were able to charge higher wherever needed and get better revenue instead of giving the simple same code to everyone. So that is a use case which you are seen for the logistic customer. But maybe Rohit, you want to share some experiences of yours?
No, I think certainly that I think things that are pricing and quoting is what we are certainly looking at, because if you have the capacity available, then you want the business. If you already have capacity, you're already capacity constrained, then you can be a little bit more selective, if you will, on how much you're going to be charging for it. or you have certain customers you want to target for it. So certainly, I think pricing is a good one. In addition to that, when you're looking at even just setting up contracts, like, I mean, reading the contract, if you look at the entire, and that's something we're starting to think in terms of that if when I've got certain conditions in the contract, how does that translate to the pricing? How did that, am I sort of, is what we contracted for, is that being charged for further down? And again, when you've got all this, to actually read it, analyze it, and have a system automatically then check up at the other end and saying, are we doing the right things? So there's certainly, I think, logistic, anything that's sort of complex environment, and definitely when you got more unstructured data, it lends itself well to something like a Gen AI, extracting the data and looking at the data. I mean, our bill of lading was one too, right? Where you got paper bills that you're scanning, but then now you want to turn that into data, but you still have rules that you need to go against. It's not as simple as an OCR. You still have rules that you want to analyze so that at the end of the day, you translate it into data.
Mala, you're on mute.
Trying to make sure I interrupt anybody. So I think that is all the time that we have. And I wanted to thank Rohit, Shashi, and Rajesh for generously sharing your time and your expert insights, and especially Rohit for taking time out of his day to provide us with some practical and applicable experiences that you've had around intelligent automation. So thank you for all of those that attended. We appreciate it very much. We hope you found it informative, thought-provoking. And if you're interested in getting additional information, then you can reach out to us at events@datamatics.com, and someone will respond to your email. Keep an eye out for the presentation recording and the presentation slides that you saw today. We will have those sent out in the next day or two, and we eagerly await your feedback. We'll have a survey that'll come up shortly, and would be great because we always want to make sure that we stay relevant, and we're holding webinars and sessions and events that our customers and the industry wants to see. So thank you very much. Take care and have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Rohit.